Hello, me. It is January at some point. It's the middle of January at some point. And this evening, I finished reading another Oz book. This one being Tik Tok of Oz. It was that one from this massive thing. Yeah, yeah. Just to give an idea of how my life is going. It is a Saturday night. My mother is out with her friends at a bar at turning 60 odd this year, and I'm spending it watching D&D and reading this terrible piece of literature. So yeah. Anyways, enough about me. On to yonder piece of literature. Tik Tok of Oz. Confusingly named because, Tik Tok, who has been previously introduced in a couple of the other pieces, is like a supporting character in this, and isn't like the main character. Strange stuff all around. It's also very confusing because there is a play or a musical. Frank Baum mentions it, that there's a play called The Tik Tok Man of Oz, but it's not this, right? It's an entirely different play that's separate from this, which then begs the question of why name this book Tik Tok of Oz if there's already another piece called The Tik Tok Man of Oz, when in this piece the Tik Tok Man isn't even a huge part of this, right? It makes no sense whatsoever. Yeah, right. We are now over halfway through all of the Wizard of Oz pieces, which, really looking at these titles, it's very much all the same sort of stuff of where we are going back and rehashing all of these characters that have already been introduced and then kind of giving them some sort of plot line. Except for the Cowardly Lion. Justice for the Cowardly Lion. The Cowardly Lion gets left out of everything. But Frank Baum describes this very definitively as an Oz piece, and it very much is, right? This is just a retelling of The Wizard of Oz, just with slightly different characters, right? And I think he calls them Oz stories in all of these letters that are included in this. And I'm hoping that I don't have to read any more because they're all the same, right? It's right, I hate, shaming pieces of literature, but it's when there's, 17 or it's a 4-book fantasy romance series, but then they're not the same, but they cover very, 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 very similar pieces and are they all follow the same kind of ideal, right? And they're just changing the name for the lore, right? And this is very much the same thing of when I actually decided to sit down and read this, right? The first one, the first time I read it, I was even though I was very interested in it, took me a little bit. Ozma of Oz took me a little bit shorter of a time. This one is a couple pages longer, but took me half the time, right? Because it's all already been done. And so it's just reading the same story with characters changed, which is unfortunate, right? Yeah. This really kind of combines. This is more of a retelling of Ozma of Oz rather than Dorothy. The Patchwork Girl of Oz was probably a much more closer retelling of Dorothy's story. This one being very close similar to Ozma. You have this random girl out of nowhere deciding to start an army to challenge the Emerald City. We go through the exact same process of there's one private and 27 officers or whatever. We go through and we meet all these characters. Some of them, like the Shaggy Man comes back. Shout out to the Shaggy Man. But instead of being the TikTok is here instead of the Tin Man. We end up getting a random stop to a flower kingdom to meet Ozga, who is a distant relative of Ozma. It's just you know, except I think what Betsy Bobbins is her name or whatever. Another girl that falls down and suddenly becomes involved in the Oz world with her donkey instead of a sawhorse or mule. And yeah, right. And then Control A, Control C, Control V, Ozma of Oz into this, right? Yeah. They go and they fight the Gnome King, which happens in Ozma of Oz, but this time Gnome King doesn't remember that he's Gnome King, right? That was a whole thing. They go to China, but it's the Wizard of Oz version of China. They meet some dragons. That's pretty fun. Yeah. They go through. Shaggy Man's here because he's trying to find his brother. They find his brother, but his brother has been turned super, super ugly. And as they are now trying to figure out a way to reverse it, it is Betsy first kisses him because she's a mortal woman, and they think my cure would be a mortal woman's kiss. Then it is Ozga, where they think it might be a mortal that used to be a fairy. And then Polychrome, shout out to Polychrome again, who makes an appearance, and she then kisses the Shaggy Man's brother, because it might just be a fairy's kiss, and then that's kind of it, right? And it's a very strange thing to me of like, you know, for someone who right, very distinctively put down that one of the reasons that he was writing these pieces of literature was to get romance out of children's literature, right? And then for the past couple times, right, Patchwork Girl stands out to me. This really stands out to me, of like very, very heavily influenced in terms of the romantic stuff, which is very strange to me. You know, there's this whole scene that occurs with the kisses of the three girls to Shaggy Man's brother, and then also that it becomes this whole kind of plot line of Ozga and Private Files, who is the one private from this army, end up being romantically interested in each other. And then when they are settling everything and putting everything back, moving everyone back to where they need to be, Ozga, because she has been banished from her kingdom, ends up moving back to, or being moved with Private Files back to, the kingdom of Ugapa or something. They said the name at the beginning, they said the name at the end, and it did not stick with me. And it's like, And the reasoning for it is because that they have become such good friends, when for large parts of it is that they've been very clearly interested in each other, right? By description, right? And it's a very strange thing to me of someone who was so adamant about writing these pieces of literature to get romance out of it, to only then have romance play a pretty big part in this book, at least, and then in parts of the last book. But yeah, I think that's it. It's Tik Tok of Oz. Yeah, it's Ozma of Oz, but with slightly different characters. Don't know what to tell you. On to the next one, I guess.